So this guy shows up in Florida, tries to rob a bodega, a convenience store, and he's got a Benelli shotgun. He walks in, and the store clerk has his own gun, and he goes, "You're not from around here, are you?" And the guy, realizing that he may lose his life over a couple of bucks, immediately is just like, "I'm from Chicago, man. I don't even know. I'm not trying to harm any. I just don't know what's going on." And then he quickly leaves. Man, it's that simple, isn't it? Dude did not die. Store clerk did not die. All because store clerk was armed. And you know what's going on right now? Crime is through the roof. Democrats are claiming, it's racism to claim that that crime is through the roof, or that crime is an issue. They're saying it's racist, it's oppression, it's colonizing, white privilege, blah, blah, blah. Joe Biden comes out on Twitter and says, "It's time to ban assault weapons. Come on, man." And it's like, what does that even mean? Here's the reality, my friends, and most of you already know it. And it's an unfortunate reality that it's always just a bit of an echo chamber. But those of us who understand the real world know that law-abiding citizens are not the ones killing people, because, killing people is a crime. And if you are armed, you are more likely to be safe. Now, I get it. Accidents can happen. And in very dense cities, you get gun accidents. You do. That's why proper training is so important. I encourage everybody to keep and bear arms and to be trained properly and to know what you're doing. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the matter. I've done a couple of firearm safety classes. I've done like a private standard class. I've done 2 standard classes, and I've taken 1 police introduction course, which is really interesting. So I actually got to sit in a classroom where it was for a police department, and they were showing new cops, like, here's what's up. Or people who want to be cops, and other people who just wanted to take the class. It was really cool. And then I got to use a variety of handguns in the range. And it's just crazy that I walk up to the table and there's guns, and they're like, okay, this one's a 22. I think I can't remember which one it was a 22 LR handgun or whatever. And they were like, almost no recoil, keep steady. And then I was like, oh wow, it's really light. And then I went up to a 45, and it was cool. They gave all the proper training. This is it right here. We got a couple other stories that I'm going to read through here. I'm going to read you this one, but let's talk about what happens when you don't got weapons. Shocking moment. Brazen jewelry store burglar pistol whips and stomps elderly Asian Delaware shopkeeper, leaving him bleeding and unconscious. Here we go. Queens subway attack victim Elizabeth Gomez could lose vision in her right eye. She's walking through the airport. Some crazy guy's macking on her, and she ignores him, so he just starts beating the ever-living crap out of her. I wish this woman was armed. I don't care with what. Pepper spray, taser, whatever. Give her some brass knuckles. But the reality is a gun is a great equalizer. If she was holding something like, I don't know, what, 38 Special, is that what it is? She had a small revolver, and she even a 22, a Derringer. She could have stopped this guy. He could have killed her. She has every right to protect herself from this psychopath. Not according to Democrats, though. No, they're gonna claim crime's not a big issue, while in New York, someone could lose her eye. She did nothing wrong. She did not deserve this. But it's people like Joe Biden. It's time to ban assault weapons in this country. It's already hard enough for people who live in cities to protect themselves. And you get stuff like this. There was another story that went viral. It's a guy, it's like a gas station or something, convenience store. And the robber comes around the corner, gets him on his knees. The clerk is calm and giving the guy whatever he wants and just like putting his hands up. The robber just shoots him anyway. For no reason, just kills this guy. When I was little, I'd watch all these superhero shows and just wish, man, it'd be so cool to have superpowers because I would stop those evil people. I have to imagine there's a lot of people who want to be cops for that reason. The policing system ain't perfect, but I can understand there are a lot of people who do feel that, like, I wish I could have saved this guy. I wish I could stop these evil people, man. I wish I'd have been there. When I see a story like that poor guy, man, I wish I was there, and I wish I was armed. But the sad reality is it's a double-edged sword because, nobody wants to just be that person to take a life. It's devastating no matter what the reason is. And you're always questioning whether it was the right move. But you see what happens afterwards when you don't defend yourself, when you can't defend yourself. You see what happens when these people implement these anti-2A policies. An innocent man is dropped to his knees and executed in the middle of the day. For what reason? For what reason? For a couple bucks, this guy's life was ended. I wish I could have saved that guy. I'm sure so many people would have. More importantly, I wish this guy could have saved himself. From Daily Mail. You're not from around here, are you? Tables turn on Chicago robber during attempted stick-up when Florida store clerk produces gun and points it at him. Ugh. I love this story. You know why I love this story? Nobody gets hurt. Dude backs off. That's what I'm talking about. A man wielding a shotgun, a Benelli no less. They're good weapons. I got a couple of them. Strolled into a Florida convenience store during an attempted robbery but made a swift exit once the store clerk displayed his own weapon. Rakeem Stephen Tate, 32, walked into a convenience store in Pensacola, Florida on September 9th, brandishing a large invisible shotgun at his side. According to the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, he has been charged with attempted robbery and openly carrying a prohibited firearm. Now I want to stop right there. First and foremost, when I saw this story, I said, what did dude do wrong? And I mean it. He walked into a store with a shotgun. He didn't do anything. He leaves. I have no problem with the dude carrying that weapon, and I disagree that he should be charged with carrying a prohibited firearm. That's the problem in the first place. You want to walk in with a weapon, I don't care. But you walk in with a weapon and I don't trust you, I'll stand there with my weapon. And you can carry your business because you got a right to keep and bear arms. You want to make a move, you want to point that weapon, things aren't going to go well. They say, Tate began to walk around and inspect the store before a clerk who was out of view of security footage begins a dialogue. Evidently, the clerk had spotted Tate arming himself outside and dashed to the back to arm himself with a personal weapon. You see, that's the thing. You don't need to bring a gun into a convenience store. I'm out here in West Virginia. You got concealed carry. I see a dude walking around with a crossbow. I don't think twice. If the dude raises it at me, yeah, I'll take, I'll duck. I'll find some dead ground or go behind a wall or something. But just because a dude's walking around with something, this is the crazy thing. This is the point I want to make. First and foremost, this dude was clearly casing the joint. Looking around, saying, like, I'm not doing anything, and then just leaves without even buying anything. The dude was clearly thinking he was going to rob the place. He says he's from Chicago, right? Yeah, in Chicago, you can't carry on weapons like that. So the store clerk just says, you ain't from around here. He says, I don't mean no harm. I'm just not from around here. I got a big effing gun. Effing gun, I think. But I'm not from around here is what I'm saying. I'm from Chicago, bro. He then asks the clerk what kind of weapon he had on him. The clerk responds, and Tate makes his exit from the store. Yeah, the dude was clearly trying to rob the place. But I'm going to point something out. You know why? If I saw that dude walking down the street with a shotgun, I'm not going to think twice. I'm not going to be like, oh, that guy's got a weapon. He's going to hurt me. Because people drive cars every single day and no one tries to run me over. Just because someone's got a weapon doesn't mean they're trying to kill you. Now, if I see someone in a car speeding towards me, I might assume that's the case. If I see someone with a weapon casing the joint and asking about my weapon, I might assume they got bad intentions. Someone gets in the car and points at me and then starts revving the gas. Well, there you go. You're going to be scared. But how often does that happen? Somebody walks in with a gun hanging at their side. I might be like, what are you doing, buddy? Someone walks in with a rifle, AR-15, slung over their shoulder or back. I'm going to be like, whatever, man. Somebody walks in with a holstered sidearm or something like that. I'm going to be like, whatever, man. Half the time, or more than half the time, people are walking around concealed carrying and you don't even know. And you know what? Nobody's waving guns around or doing anything crazy like that because the overwhelming majority of people don't want to fight. This is the reality. This is the nature of existence. Even bears don't want to fight you. For real, unless they're desperate and starving. You walk into the middle of the woods and there's a bear. Chances are the bear is going to be like, I don't want to fight. But if you get too close to its babies, bear's going to be like, I would die for my kids. Now that I get. Bear gets hungry or is trying to think humans have food, bear might move on you. That's a reality. Similarly, criminals, realizing that people can't be armed in many places, think, now's my opportunity. If it's a free meal, it's a free meal, right? This is why I think it's so important that we protect 2A. This is the perfect situation. This is a story everybody should be talking about. Nobody gets hurt. Dude leaves. Dude gets arrested. I think the charges will be reduced because it's going to be hard to prove intent because a guy walked around with a weapon, but the weapon's banned. That's what they'll use. I don't think any weapon should be banned. I think you should be allowed to walk around with a shotgun. Even Joe Biden said you should have a shotgun. So, not a big fan. Luke was telling me, I thought Florida was better on guns. He said Florida's actually not that good on guns. Hopefully DeSantis can work towards pushing through constitutional carry. That'd be fantastic. Look, I live in West Virginia. You got constitutional carry. It is amazing. You can walk around concealed carry. You don't got anything to worry about. And I don't. I literally don't. It's amazing. It's amazing how that works. I want to show you this. From Vice. Republicans are furious. A driver was released after killing, quote, extremist teen. It's amazing. That's how Vice frames the story. This guy killed a teenager. He said the teenager was threatening him and was part of a Republican extremist group. Police say there's no evidence of that. Vice News, instead of writing the story that a man killed a teenager and claimed he was an extremist, writes that Republicans are mad about it. Republicans are mad about it? That's just so insane. It's just so insane. Should this not be universally condemned? Remember when that dude in Charlottesville rammed those people? Who had a problem saying that was a bad thing? George Floyd, even Ben Shapiro came out and was like, man, this was bad what Chauvin did to George Floyd with the knee on the neck. But I want you to understand how the left thinks about when a dude runs over your kids. This is why I think it's so important to keep and bear arms, because there are dangerous, violent, psychopathic extremists. They will beat you. They will rob you. And they will cower in fear the moment they see you are armed. It's a great equalizer. I was reading about this study. They got a bunch of convicted robbers, muggers, and showed them videos of people walking on the street. And they asked these criminals, these violent criminals, out of all of these, write down the ones that you would mug. Sure enough, the people who had been mugged were chosen by the muggers in the videos. They believe it had something to do with the way that people walked. That when people walk and they seem lacking confidence, they seem weak, they get preyed upon. These criminals see them and they're like, this person I can target. Sure enough, the people who had been chosen had been mugged in the past. You start walking on the street upright, looking around, paying attention, they leave you alone. Not always. You never know. Some people are crazy. It's whatever. You walk around with a weapon, they're not going anywhere near you. This is the thing about Chicago. As things get crazier and crazier, I'm not going to give anybody advice, but I always insisted I would never comply with someone robbing me. It's not going to happen. Never going to happen. And the issue is, what I found in the handful of times people have tried coming at me, resistance results in retreat. Because most people don't want to go to prison. Most people don't want a hard mark. They want an easy mark. And if they come up to you and they do things like, yo, let me get a cigarette, you say, back off. Or you'd be like, no. They turn around and walk away. But there's a lot of people who get nervous. They stutter. They go, yeah, I don't know. And then they're like, this guy's an easy mark. You give them a hard mark. You tell them, buddy, you play this game, you're going to have a difficult time of it. I recommend you go across the street, maybe find somebody else. They do. Not always. I had one instance, where let me break this down for you guys. A lot of people seem to think that you should just get on your knees, give them whatever you want. We see what happens when you do that. There are also stories, true, where people resist and they get killed. And they say it's not worth your life over a phone. But dude is not going to kill you over a phone unless he already intends to kill you or is so crazy that they'd kill you anyway. I look at it like this. Growing up in Chicago, I've always just been like, fight me for it. And I've not had to. I've been mugged. Only one time did someone pursue actually mugging me after I told him to screw off. And then the cops popped out of nowhere and grabbed the guy, slammed him against a fence, like, not in my town. True story, crazy story. The dude had a spotter and everything, and I was laughing. I'm like, bro, the guy was like, basically threatening me. And I just started laughing. And I was like, you think I got money? I got nothing to give you, dude. Like, they ain't nothing for me to give. My wallet was empty. I was broke. I don't even know how. And he started accusing me of having money in my shoe. And I just ignored him. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, you're wasting my time. Like, you ain't getting anything from me. You're going to have to fight. And I hope you win. But let me tell you about how it works in the real world. Sometimes you can get hurt. But we see videos of people getting pushed onto the subway tracks as it is. All right? What made this guy back off with the weapon was that some other guy said, you ain't from around here, are you? Click. You want to fight? You got to fight. When it comes to terrorism and kidnappings in the Middle East, in North Africa, the stories we hear, so similar. It's not a guarantee. When Americans get kidnapped, the United States government tells the kidnappers, you've got one guarantee and it ain't cash. It's a 308 to the forehead from 100 yards. It's a helicopter over your compound, flashbang grenades, and your family being taken down. Don't try it. So you know what happens? Americans usually don't get kidnapped. Spain and Germany pay up right away. So they get kidnapped all the time. Good luck. These guys say, oh, you're American? I don't want a couple of special forces guys landing on my rooftop at 3 a.m. Yeah, the American strategy is you want to fight, you found it. And because of that, people are like, I don't want to fight and I don't want to find it. I want an easy mark. They see a guy from Spain, a journalist, and they're like, he won't fight back because the government's going to pay out. We're going to get a couple $1,000,000. There you go. Bad strategy because it makes you a target. Now, look, they tell you that the right move is just comply and give and all that stuff. It's not worth your life. It's not cell phone. And I'm just like, dude, my attitude is if you act like a victim and if you're ready to cave, that's when you are more likely to be victimized. I tell you this, you back the F off because if you want to fight, you're going to find it. You don't believe me? You know, look at that video when the Antifa guy got in my face in, I'll tell you this. In Boston, an Antifa guy got in my face, started swinging at me, and I just stood there. And I was just like, what are you doing? And then there's that video that goes viral of that dude pulling my hat off, and I turned around and threatened to knock his teeth out. And the only reason I didn't actually get into a physical confrontation is because I was surrounded by cops. But yeah, people are like, haha, look at Tim threatening this guy. He got his hat pulled off and he got triggered. And I'm like, yeah, you know, someone came at me and grabbed me from behind and I was already on edge surrounded by Antifa. That was Boston too. That was like the same day. So I get this dude in my face threatening me, swinging at me, going like this and trying to flinch me out. I'm pissed. Then some dude comes up behind me. I was ready to just shatter some teeth. I'm not going to get into a fight with somebody for no reason. But I tell you this right now. The attitude that y'all should have is be armed, be trained, and be ready. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'd win every fight. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm the smartest guy. I'm just telling you, I can be a bit of a hothead, and the videos show it. But this is why I think people should be armed. Because you've got people who are willing to come out and kill a kid. If that kid was armed, he might still be alive. This guy was hunting him down in an SUV. That kid had every right to defend himself from this psychopath. And in Florida, this is the story you get. You're not from around here, are you? Click. And the dude goes, I don't want to fight. Now, I don't know what kind of weapon this dude had. Handgun or whatever. But this dude had a Benelli shotgun. At close range, heck of a weapon to have. But he did not want to fight. Now, every so often, you'll get a maniac. And they'll come at you, and they're looking for a fight. You'll get a video of that store clerk who was put to his knees and executed. Crazy. And then you recognize, do you want to roll the die? Are you going to bet when that guy walks up to you with a gun and says, give me your phone, are you going to bet that that he's not going to try and shoot you? It's crazy. The craziest thing to me that the advice is just comply, give them whatever they want. And I'm like, I got no guarantees, man. None. Because I've seen the video of the dude being shot who complied. My attitude is fight to survive. That's just me. You want to make a go of it. I'm not going to just roll over and let you do whatever you want. I was watching Better Call Saul. Spoiler alerts for those who haven't seen it. I'm on season 5. And so this is just the last year, but spoiler alerts, it's a relatively new show, I guess. And I'm watching the scene, I'll keep it vague, where one of the guys is about to kill another guy. And the guy who's about to die is just like, okay, and starts slowly walking and then gets killed. And I'm like, I don't care what the reason. You try to survive. Now, I guess he was concerned they were going to go for his wife. And that's a different story. But often I hear these things like, dude, like, it's crazy to me. You see these videos of people being walked into the desert, like the ISIS stuff. And I'm just like, wouldn't you even just try to run? Like, why wouldn't you just try to run? I mean, they're beheading people. They're immolating people. I'd just be like, look, if I'm going to get taken down, if you're going to take my life, I'm going to at least try, you know? But maybe it's just big talk, to be honest. I've seen some stuff in my day. I've been in some dangerous situations myself, having traveled the world. Growing up in Chicago. You never know. You know, for all we know, you can get a story about a store clerk who's armed, and the guy comes in, and the store clerk tries to, stop him, and then he gets shot. It's just, I can't pretend to know the truth about, like, I shouldn't say truth, but the hard numbers. I'll just tell you how I feel. And how I feel is if every single person had the attitude of, you come at me, I come at you, there would be no crime. If the mentality held by every person in our society was, you will get a fight if you go looking for one, there'd be no crime. Because every criminal would know, from a 13-year-old kid to an 80-year-old woman, you're going to get into a fight. Is it worth it? Typically, the answer is no. But as the Democrats move to ban weapons and all forms of self-defense, it becomes obvious to any criminal. Everybody's going to be an easy mark. I'm armed, you're not. Let's go, baby. No, people should be armed. And every criminal should say, well, is the $50 he might have in his wallet worth dying over? No, it's not. Maybe just go get a job. What did Maj Touré say? Make criminals afraid again, like this. I love this story. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.